over the years on problem solving in terms of financial crisis, in terms of uncertainty in the environment, and in good times. But this is the first time in that 30 years that the CEO has decided to treat different groups of represented employees differently when it comes to fringe benefits. It had always been that the fringe benefits program was the same, or in terms of contributions and to the programs that benefit the represented employees. This time, the CEO decided to offer different, a different final offer to each group. To SEIU 721, they offered the SEIU in exchange for a lower contribution to health and dental. That savings, the CEO said, well, we'll put an extra 1% salary adjustment and $1,000 bonus to try to offset what is the amount.
Mr. Meek, I'm sorry, but your 2 minutes have expired on this item.
Okay. Could I submit,
Please.
because we have different financial, what it costs to actually, from the standpoint of the 1% and the $1,000 bonus.
We'd be happy to accept that.
Can
of
we
course.
who do I give that
The
to?
woman behind you will just take it
Oh, thank
and
you.
make certain that each of us gets that. Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Hello, I'm Dana Hartley.
Talk right into the mic, please.
Hello, I'm Dana Hartley. Good afternoon, and I am Carrie Peck's neighbor concerning this 27-tower going on. And here's a view of my bedroom. He is literally right next to me, but the tower is projected to be 70 feet tall and be under my roof line, and the beam would shoot through my bedroom area, maybe 80 feet from my bedroom. I'm a cancer survivor of 13 years.
She's dead.
Worked for the city as a special ed aide. I'm retired, and I too live there for a special reason. It's paradise, and I listen to owls in my 80. I'm surrounded by trees. Where they're probably 60 to 70 feet tall. And owls every night, 3 at a time. And I am so scared that this beam shooting to Castaic Peak, which is 8 miles away, is the closest tower scheduled. But it's already been cleared. But it's in a land that's vacant. This tower is being put right between 4 houses, literally right in his backyard, Carrie Peck's. And we are just so frightened. And I'm for this tower. My grandfather was a fireman. I respect them. I know they need it, but I want them to investigate and spend some more time looking for vacant land where it won't affect our rural homes. And I have some ideas for them. They've been to my house. They went to the fire station as a meeting. They were at my house yesterday. They act like there's no other choice, but I know there is. I have a map here with peaks that are...
Thank you.
Can I...
Thank you, Ms. Hartley. Would you like us to have copies of that, or
Yeah, you can
make copies?
Oh,
Okay.
I'm sorry, but my mother even has some land for sale that they could use the peaks. Right
Okay,
next
and
to the fire
I'll
station.
repeat what I said before about this. There's going to need to be an extensive set of hearings and meetings about the coastal development
I know.
permit. We're not giving that today.
Oh, I know, but we're here because... we
Right.
feel like
No. It's appropriate for you to be here at every step, no question.
Yes.
But, I'd like people to know this is not the end of the line decision on that tower. Okay, thank you very much for being
Sure.
here.
And this is the back has the different choices and the high altitude.
I'm sure we can figure out how to get us a copy and make sure you get the original back.
And our land is for sale. My mother said she'd sell it.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Thank you. It's Eric Previn, and take some comfort that you got your full 2 minutes, because people who came down to advocate about other things in their neighborhood only were given one, thanks to Supervisor Kuehl's rush. She's in a bit of a rush today. We don't know where she's going. I will say this, that there are differences between the way we treat people in our districts. Item number 12 is a $10,000 reward. Unfortunately, 2 people were murdered in Supervisor Ridley Thomas's district, and there was a $10,000 reward posted. Item number 5, there were 2 people murdered in Supervisor Solis's district, and there's a $25,000 reward. So this is always puzzling for the public. And then at City Hall, there was 1 individual murdered, and it's a $50,000 reward. So all of this raises the questions, and I'll do the oral PR, Ms. Wickham. How much money do we spend with the Los Angeles Times every time we post one of these legal rewards? And let's, for the last year, clarify how much we've spent. That would be the public record, a document that would show that. That would be helpful. Now, of course, I'm for catching the criminals, but I just don't think this is a great use of our resources. Item number 15 is another questionable, $52,000 for a conference. Homeless conference. It's fair to say that 20,000 of that's being split between the Conrad Hilton, United Way, and Community Coalition Foundation. But we're covering 32,000 for a literally Millennium Hotel meeting. I mean, we have a crisis, so that's a little surprising. Item number 16, I reached out to the ACLU because you're adjusting the way you define information and what you want to share as private or protected, and this is a bad area for County Council, so we need a rights group to look at that before we move forward. And obviously 34 and 35, painful. Corrective action plan is non-existent for 34. Both of these are cases where women were violated in an egregious way, or at least allegedly, and settled for up to $4 million for both of them at Century. So the idea of moving them to a farther away area where we don't provide the kind of services, like item 19 is good. You're looking at re-entry for women. This is great. But how do you re-enter into an environment where you're so far away, and how can you make that work if you're way up in Lancaster, which we're all collectively worrying about, including Sheriff McDonald, who very, very nicely came to Studio City, as did Villanueva, to our little Burbank chit-chat about the election, and, faced the question. So I think we all have to. 27, I'll just say one more time, L.A. Ricks is a big deal. Ms. Amai is not here today, standing in as Mr. Jones. Last week, item 53 was a sole source contract for Motorola. Now, I believe it was Solis and Kuehl who jumped up and said, whoa, we need to do competitive procurements around here in April of 2017. Well, here we are, and it's a sole source contract. So the vendor who competed and had his head handed to him said that this is going to not only set a platform for fishy procurements, but we lost $10 million on the first consideration because the others were offering to do it for that much less. But now we're looking at possibly up to $35 million more, and it's on our Government Affairs Committee agenda, so the supervisors have a chance to explain that, in fact, we are getting a good, fair deal on mobile radios, if we are. I don't think we are. I'm worried, very worried, and upset about that. I believe in competitive procurement.
Next speaker, please.
Good afternoon, Board of Supervisors, Dr. Geneviève Claverol. I will first speak to item 15, having to do with the Biltmore Hotel. A few weeks ago, I filed a complaint about the lack of meeting accessibility for people who are disabled. They have made all the correction. I was very impressed how they dealt with the issue and make all the correction, and now it is totally accessible for people in wheelchair or in scooter like myself. So that's a very positive finding. On item 16, having to do with information technology, that's one of my pet peeve, and we still have a lot of glitch when it comes to information technology here, trying to find agenda and so on. Definitely, it is a little bit better than it was, but it's still not, working at the level I would like to see work. On CS1, I am very upset that the hiring of that person, which we still don't know. We don't know if it was a national search done for the head of the, that wonderful non-approved position, which I have complained from the beginning. And on the notice of the closed session on CS1, they, considering that director of health agency, we don't know who that person is and so on. The only thing we know is that Supervisor Mark Riley Thomas did not approve of it, and that for me is of great concern. He's telling me that that person probably doesn't have the qualification which are very necessary for that position. As it is already, we got Dr. Christine Galley hired when personally I feel she's not qualified for that position. And now I have a feeling we're getting another person who is not qualified. So that's very scary. So I hope you will not pay the consequences to have somebody who is not qualified. Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Hi, my name is Victor Trujillo. I'm looking at 20. It was interesting that you said Department of Public Health. I mean, they're sneaking it in through the school and basically trying to get this plan was brought up different. They changed it, so it's interesting. I looked at it. It's puzzling, but this is how you guys write the books. Number 30, Los Angeles high-intensity drug trafficking area, Southern California Drug Task Force agreements. It's funny they're putting this in my dialogue with the Justice Department. I remember my brother got busted with like 25 people, and they all became Mexican cartels, and none of them were. And my brother didn't know maybe about 10, 15 years earlier, I remember when they tied him up and they were going to execute him, I found out. I got a phone call from a white friend from a sheriff, and I had my brother released. To this day, he doesn't even know that. I look at this with the Sheriff's Department out in Lancaster. Back in the days when I used to grow, I remember the sheriffs write a life insurance policy, and that life insurance policy comes from the Lancaster area. It's called Republican Life Insurance. A contract hit. It was put on my name in 1988 when I had 4 businesses as my name. So I actually know precisely. When I got out of jail, I talked to Captain Kennedy. He knew the person that actually sent the guy to the jail. That was the guy that I got in a shootout and him back in '89. He didn't know that. But the problem, Kennedy, Captain, tells me on the phone, you should have been dead. Interesting. You know what? Dead, and you knew about my mother. And the guy told me exactly how he was supposed to chop up my mother. So that's the kind of people I'm dealing with in Lancaster. When you have these guys, right, I got several white friends that know about these because we knew the internal stuff. I was working with people that would only specialize to get rid of everybody in the San Fernando Valley, only through Republican sheriffs. So that's the kind of stuff they're making this hocus pocus. I can go show you 500 different cases and sit here and you cannot understand it, but it's all organized crime. Stop it.
Thank you. Please let us know the numbers upon which we're about to vote.
The items before you are 1H, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13, 15, 16, 17, 19, 20, 22, 24, 25, 27, 30, 31, 32, 34, and 35.
Moved by Supervisor Solis, seconded by Supervisor Hahn. Any objections?